And welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions Podcast, also streaming on Expert CRE Secrets Podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the Deferred Sales Trust, is the best way for you to exit your highly appreciated real estate, business, or other asset. I'm your host, Brett Swarts. In each episode, I am joined by some of the best real estate, financial, wealth, and business minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. Hey, I'm excited about our next guest. She is out of the great state of New Jersey. And she is focused and helping people buy and sell real estate, a real estate professional herself, but she also has a passion for helping women invest in real estate and really spread the knowledge and the wealth for more women to invest in real estate. So I'm excited to dive into this topic today with Kat Timpson. Hey, Kat, how are you doing today?
I'm well, thanks, Brett. Thanks so much for having me. This is awesome.
Absolutely. For our listeners, get to know you for the first time, could you tell us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Sure. So I am a realtor in Summit, New Jersey. I had come out with my family from New York. I was a native New Yorker, thinking never moving to New Jersey ever. That's a no-no. But moved out here, ended up having about 5 homes that we renovated and upgraded. And it was just so much fun and so interesting. And we had a couple of bad experiences with realtors. And I thought, well, never going to deal with them. And I had a friend who gave me the opportunity to help her in real estate. And once I did that, I realized it's not really about disliking somebody else. It's really about doing it better yourself. So that was sort of my push to get into real estate. We've got tons of people coming from New York. We're a very commuter heavy area. So buying and selling wasn't it was relatively easy in the area, but I found myself getting a little bit challenged by the repetitiveness. And so I really started focusing on investments. And that's I'm happy to talk about that, Brett, because I think it's just different than what usually realtors are doing.
Love it. Really cool. Yeah. Originally from New York, now New Jersey, helping people buy and sell real estate, but also investing and taking a different approach. By the way, you can learn more about Kat Timpson at kattimpsonrealestate.com. That's kattimpsonrealestate.com. So, Kat, before we dive into some of those areas of investing opportunities for women and for others as well, of course, you can invest, right? But we'll touch on the female side of things today. But I'm curious, Kat, what's I believe we've all been given certain gifts in this life, and these gifts have been given to us to be a blessing and help to others. Some people call them strengths, some people call them superpowers. But I want you to go back to your earlier days, maybe it's high school, maybe it's university days, and I want you to think about maybe those 1 or 2 gifts that you believe you were given, and how does that help how you help people today?
It's funny that you say that, because I had a best friend in high school who was an amazing musician. And I was so envious because he could sort of list his talents, what he could play, what he could do. And he said, well, what are your talents? I don't know. I guess I'm a people person. Well, sort of ever after that, I realized that's the truth. I'm a people person. I love to network. I love to connect people with needs, people who have things in common. And I think that's a lot of what sales is. It's about relationships. So it's networking. It's about bringing people together.
It's a beautiful thing, and you're absolutely right? I think of the movie. I can't help but think about it when you say people person. You ever see the movie Office Space? He's like, "What would you say you do here?" He's like, "I'm a people person." He's like, "Well, so you physically take the TPS reports to the customer?" He's like, "Well, sometimes." No, but I mean, I think that's really true. When you can align with folks, you can connect with folks, and then connect also well with other brokers or other investors, right? You help make deals happen, and that at the foundation of that is being a person who can connect well with others. So I love that as a gift. Okay, great. So now let's dive into the topic today, which is helping women invest in real estate. When did you become fascinated with this topic? And give us a little bit of the backstory here.
Sure. So it's really in the past year. I actually just got divorced myself last year. And in doing that, I realized, and I knew it was coming, but I have an ex who is a Wall Streeter. And I wasn't doing the house finances at all. So I knew it was coming, that I was going to have a major challenge being single and getting really financially literate and savvy. And in doing that, I also was finding what I really had passion for was, as a result of sort of an accidental set of clients, I really had a passion for investing. It just seems so fascinating to have people come in and really appreciate a property, look at how it can be enhanced, and then sell it back to the community. And so that's really where my interest came. And then I ended up having a friend in the same agency I was at prior, and he and I were working together, found we adored the process. And that's really what it is. I think the process, how you help people get through something that they're going to buy and make money on. And he loved it as much, and we decided to become a team. And that's really where it started. We're relatively new. We'll be honest about that. We're relatively new in terms of this particular team. Both of us have been doing real estate for, I think, about 25 years together. And it's so different in so much as it's different every day. And most real estate is, I'll say, a lot of people in sales love sales because you never know what's coming. But in investment real estate, it really is a roller coaster. And it's so satisfying when you get that deal and you've negotiated and you've been a part of it, and you can really say, like, this is going to work for my client.
Cool. Love it. And so let's connect the women part, right? Because you're right. It is, it's a big challenge. By the way, growing up, my parents were divorced, and I was with my mom 90% of the time. And my dad was the entrepreneur, real estate investor, owner, and she helped run the business too. But all of a sudden, you know, you got to realign, you got to refocus, and you got to step up and get your, you know, finances in order, and as well as investing in order as well. So what is I guess the biggest thing that helped you, or the secret that helped you overcome doing this, or tip or strategy to inspire some women today?
So I think one of the things that's interesting about being in investment real estate is that I am one of the few women. Now, there are other women who are doing the investing, but even though real estate is generally a group of women, it's just far and beyond a majority of women agents. There are very few agents who are doing it. And what I realized in the research that I was doing was that that's sort of an irony, because actually women are amazing investors, and they're really great at this. And it's not stereotypical. It just happens to be some female traits, like being able to multitask in a way that maybe men don't always do. Some patience that maybe men don't always have. These are like natural things that you must have in order to be a good investor. And the other part of it is I encourage women to think about real estate as an asset class. I think in general, investment is really male heavy. Women don't get the education about investments, and they definitely don't get the education about real estate as a side investment. They may know more about buying and selling a family home, which is great, and that's a start. But I don't see them reaching out to think about how they can take real estate and use it for their prosperity. And that's why it's so meaningful to me to talk to women and help them do that.
That's really cool. I think you're absolutely right. You know, my wife, she's definitely better at multitasking, and she definitely has better patience. And you're right. I heard a great economist talk about, something he calls having the conviction to stay with your investments. Like, so the best investors, and this particular guy, he worked for PIMCO, and a very respected economist, and he's a professor as well. And he goes, it's having the conviction and the belief in your whatever position you've taken, and then having the patience to see that come to fruition, right? So I think you nailed it on the head. You know, looking at those generally speaking, those strengths for women, patience and multitasking, as a way to invest well in real estate. Is that a fair summary?
Absolutely. And Brett, I'll add that I think one of the things that's so great about women are they, on a regular basis, are really involved with community. And that's one of the great things about investing in real estate. When you enhance a property, generally that's what's happening. I mean, there's certainly people who are buying apartments and, I hate to say slumlords, but there are people who aren't doing right by the people that they're that they're residents. But generally, certainly where we're doing it, people are enhancing the properties, enhancing the community. And that is also super exciting, and why women should get even more involved, because they really know the community inside and out.
Yes, that's really, very well said. Enhancing the community, enhancing the properties, and if they're connected well with the community, it's only going to help. By the way, that's what we're hoping the 1031 exchange stays around, because it encourages people to trade properties, move into other properties, and then enhance those and have
That's
that in tax incentive. Although if it does fail, we had a cool thing called a Deferred Sales Trust. In case anyone wants to learn more about that, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. So let's shift a little bit into that exact.
I'll be going to that, Brett.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. You can check that out. And it's, you've got to shift and adapt in a marketplace, right? And that's key. And I think this, helping women invest in real estate, you got to shift and adapt and all of us, how we invest and look at different things. And so that's important to know that there's options, and there's folks like Kat Timpson to help you with that, on both the brokerage side and also working through these things. Because actually, as a real estate professional myself, oftentimes we are sort of have the financial advising hat on, sometimes the tax hat on, and obviously the brokerage hat on. But it's more than just a real estate, sales professional. You're a consultant. So any thoughts on that, Kat?
Absolutely. I think that, especially in investment, there are people that I encourage to go into it and they say, oh, I can't, I don't know a thing about it. And the truth of the matter is, if you have a great advisor who's a coach, who's going to help you through the process, it's doable. It's not rocket science. So once you've done it a few times and you've had somebody who can give you that support all the way through, it's a much less challenging situation. But I agree, it's not something you just go in willy-nilly. There is research that needs to be done. There is awareness about what the financial ramifications are going to be. Some hopefully better than others, like some of the tax benefits and some of the tax problems. There are things that I really wish we sussed out a little bit more, because it would encourage more investing. And like so many things in America, we've got inequity. And to encourage more people, women, minorities, to be a bigger part of the backbone of America, which is our real estate market, it's such a passion to me. And I think it's so vital that we discuss that.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. Education and finding coaches who are a few steps ahead of you, who can guide you and coach you through, and realizing it's for everybody. It's not rocket science. Literally, it's real estate. And you look at it and go, okay, and what are the comps and what are the rents? And yeah, you might have to have some connections for some maintenance people or some management people, but you can find those folks. And of course, having a great realtor to represent you. So that is amazing. Kat Timpson, by the way, you can learn about more Kat Timpson at kattimpsonrealestate.com. So let's talk about a little bit of the tax, the frustrations with capital gains tax. Our show is Capital Gains Tax Solutions. So I'm curious, in your career, what's been the biggest frustration for yourself or a client when it comes to capital gains tax deferral options for primary homes or investment real estate?
Sure. So I think, it's so interesting, right? Because the short-term capital gains issues are potentially a problem for investors, because really investors, certainly again, in our area, we're North Central New Jersey, investors are looking to get in, fix things up, and flip them. That is not long-term, that's short-term. So we're trying to figure out better ways to help our investors really put together a strong financial plan around that. But it's really not conducive, because a lot of them, you could change over, right, if it becomes your primary residence, but that's not what these people are doing. They're using it as a business. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what the new changes are going to be, if they're going to be any. But I would love the discussion to go into, how do we help investors make money, even though there are some things that are thwarting their efforts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, short-term versus long-term capital gains tax. And essentially, if you've owned something for less than a year, generally speaking, it's going to be considered short-term, meaning that's ordinary income. It's not applied to the capital gains tax rates. But if you own something for longer than a year, it shifts over to long-term capital gains tax, which are lower. However, Biden is proposing, the Biden administration is to double that from 20 to about 40, 39 and some change. And that's going to have some huge ramifications. And then the other part you touched on, right, is the if you lived in a primary home 2 of the last 5 years, which is really cool, they have what's called the 121 exclusion. And it's where if you're single, 250,000 is tax-free, and then 500 if you're married, but anything above and beyond that is going to get hit with the long-term capital gains tax. So you got to want to know your options. You're going to want to get with someone like Kat Timpson who can walk you through that. Also, we also provide that as well, but connect with both of us if you wanted to learn more about that. So that being said, what are the questions that clients and women should be asking that they're not asking if they're going to be, finding out, connecting with you for the first time, Kat?
Well, I think the most important thing people want to do, and also I am in this team with my friend. We're doing TLO Property Solutions. And what we start with is giving people an education. Even though real estate is not rocket science, there is a pattern and there are things you need to know. Again, financial ramifications for one, but also what the process is going to be. And I think that people aren't as aware that there could be they could lose out on a bid during attorney review, or something that they didn't expect happens. There's an oil tank that is leaking, and that's the responsibility of the seller, and they have to give up that property because they're not going to take that on. So I think education is probably the most important, and that's the biggest tip that I say is let the experts give you those tips. And honestly, I know this sounds sort of self-serving, but listen to your advisor. If you have a realtor who you are working with, they are a licensed professional. And you wouldn't ask your doctor, like, are you sure you should do that for my knee? But yet people are like, oh, I don't agree with that. I'm going to price it this price. We're like, but we're giving you our expert opinion. We're not here just to go on the merry-go-round.
Yeah, you're right. The worlds of Zillow and Redfin and pricing properties, and you're like, yeah, there's a reason why we've been doing this and have sold X, right? And we hit results, and I often sometimes with that, if it's a seller's market, let me know what you think, Kat. I say, you know what? We'll go out at X price, and here's what I think it's going to deliver. I'm going to tell you straightforward where I think someone's actually going to buy in today's market. But I'm willing to go, let's say $100,000 over, but within 30 days, we got to have a discussion to lower that, okay? Because it's a seller's market. Now, this is the risk involved there. We could risk, the marketplace not taking a look at it. We're overpriced it. We've lost some momentum. The flip side is, we have that possibility buyer that purchases that, and now we're all giving high fives. I'm excited. But realize that, this is where I think it's going to strike. Any other thoughts on that, Kat?
Oh, absolutely. Pricing, Brett, is so key. And it's challenging because you want to give your seller what they're looking for. But the problem is, and this is why I say it's so valuable to have and listen to your coach, is that the market is what tells you what the value of a home is, not what your mortgage is left, not what you owe somebody, not what you feel that the house should be worth, not what the neighbor's was 2 years ago. None of that matters. What matters is right now and whatever marketplace you're in. And I agree, you could start higher and go lower, but it does give sort of a taint to a home. For us, we like to be, in fact, we just priced a couple of properties for an investor, and we priced sort of mid-range. And that way we have the option of course, if there are multiple offers, which there often are, to get the price a little bit higher. But if we're in mid-range and somebody comes in around then, or even a little bit lower, it's all, again, about expectations and knowing the process.
Very well said. Couldn't say it better. And that being said, we are running out of time. So are you ready for the lightning round?
Yes, I am.
All right, here we go. Knowing what you know now, Kat, if you can go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget you would make sure to tell yourself to do?
Oh, I would keep a database better than I ever have. Write every single name you get into that database, follow up, have it. Your sphere is everything.
Excellent. What's the CRM of choice today for Kat?
You know what's funny, Brett, is I think even just an Excel spreadsheet. I don't even, or Google Sheets, whatever you want. I don't think you have to necessarily have something that's going to put regular material out, because I think people are sort of going, that's that same newsletter everyone's sending. It's clock turning back or 4th of July. I like to do something that's different.
Cool. Excellent. Second question. If you go back, oh, no, we already said that one. What's the one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
Oh, well, it has nothing to do with real estate. I'm all about Charlotte's Web. I think that's the greatest story ever told. It's my favorite. But in terms of the real meat, anything by Tony Robbins. I'm a real fan of his, not because I truly believe him when he says, I am not your guru. But I love Tony Robbins because he allows people to do their best with what they have and to understand how great they can be if they just let go of a lot of limiting beliefs.
Absolutely love it. I couldn't agree with you more. By the way, I'm going to my first live Tony Robbins event in Dallas coming up in August. And I think it's one of his first one back in the, post-COVID world where he's in person. So excited about that. Bringing my wife, Melanie. I had to kind of twist her arm a little bit, but she's coming. She's coming along anyway. So that being said, next question is this. What are you curious about most right now?
That's a great question, Brett. I am actually more curious than I ever was about financial details. So again, sort of the irony for me was I was married to somebody who was completely financial and really didn't sort of see me financially at all. And that was a problem. And now I'm getting to be more of the expert, and I want to learn that so badly. I want to know how to invest better than everybody else. I want to know what the ramifications are financially and tax-wise, all that stuff. It's so interesting to me now.
Well, we call that nerding out or geeking out,
Totally.
So we got a coaching program at Capital Gains Tax, which is I get people calling me and they're like so excited. They want to learn. I'm like, look, we're going to totally geek out on this, but it's going to take time, right? It's like 10 years in my brain. I'm like, tell me everything. I'm like, have some patience, work through with me, and we'll get you there. But I love that. I love that desire for financial details. That's cool. All right. Next question is this. What's the best negotiating tip that you could share with us?
Sure. Actually, I just shared it in a blog. And that is, you wouldn't expect this, but it goes back to what we talked about before, the relationship. So if you are working with a buyer and you are putting an offer into a home that has multiple offers, I guarantee that if you have 2 offers, if a selling agent has 2 offers and they're exact, and they know one of the agents is a pain in the neck to work with, they will help their client choose the agent that they know will be better in the process and support both sides. Now, I mean, I'm saying they may, right? But it's natural, it's human nature too. So for me, the best negotiating tool I have is to make relationships with other agents, no matter what brokerage they're with. And that means events, that means leadership. I'm part of Women's Council. I know realtors from across the state and across brokerages. That gets things done.
Beautiful. Make great relationships. The best negotiating tip. Couldn't agree with you more. I love that. Second to last question. Best real estate investing deal you've ever done?
For me, it was actually, for me, and I only say this because this is really where I think I got the bug, all things considered, but we bought a house in 1998 for $185,000 in Maplewood. And we sold that for, I think, $250, not 18 months later. We moved to yet another home for about $200K, renovated that, and then sold that for like $500,000 over what we paid. And it was such a, wow, this is a real possibility of how to go forward and get our family set.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. Last question is this. After all your success, Kat, and helping a lot of people invest and do brokerage and having a passion for helping women do the same, how do you stay centered in your values, and how do you stay encouraged to reach forward and charge for new heights?
Great question. I actually, right before I got into real estate, I was teacher training for yoga. So I've got a lot of that background. You can see probably this way, like my Tibetan singing bowl. So I believe that grounding yourself and being mindful is incredibly helpful. But for me, again, because I'm all about the relationships, who you surround yourself with is so important. Grounding yourself with people that you love and care about, or you model. Like one of my favorite things in the world that Tony Robbins says is find somebody that you see doing what you want to do, somebody outstanding in their field, and model them. And that to me is just so exciting. And believe it or not, those people usually are more than willing to help you with the accomplishments you want because they see themselves in you and they see you in them.
That's beautiful. I love that, Kat. For those who want to get in touch with you and find you, what's the best place? One more time, remind them where they can find you.
I'm going to send you this time to kattimpsonrealestate.com. Check me out on social media. Or if you're looking for investing proper, and we can put it up maybe later, Brett, is Tilo Property Solutions, tiloproperty.com. It's where we're starting. My daughter even did the website, so we're very proud of that. The whole family's involved, loving it.
Beautiful. Yeah, we'll get that in the show notes for sure. Well, Kat, it's been a real pleasure getting to know you a little bit more. I thank you for sharing a bit about your story. Thank you for having a passion for helping women invest in real estate. And thank you for being a person who connects with people, right? So you can help more clients and more people create and preserve more wealth with real estate. With that, I also want to thank our listeners for listening to the episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. As always, we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the Deferred Sales Trust, is the best way for you to exit your highly appreciated business or real estate. By the way, cryptocurrency too, primary homes, pretty amazing. You can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about that. That's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We're also streaming on Expert CRE Secrets podcast as well. You can learn more by going to expertcresecrets.com. Hey, I appreciate you, everyone listening.